I am 82 years old, and I want you to see what a man looks like after he watches something 26 years too late. I'm sitting on the edge of a bed in a room that used to be my son's bedroom. It's a storage closet now. Boxes stacked against the wall, old coats hanging in the corner. The whole place smelling like mothballs and carpet that hasn't been vacuumed since the Clinton administration. And in my lap right now is a VHS camcorder. Gray, dusty, heavier than I remember. There's a strip of masking tape on the side, and written on it in my wife's handwriting. Neat, careful, the way she wrote everything. It says School Play, 1998. My son was 7 years old, second grade, and I am holding the only recording of something I was supposed to be at and wasn't. I found it 20 minutes ago on the top shelf of this closet, inside a shoebox behind a set of curtains we never hung. I plugged it in, flipped open that little screen, pressed play, and what I saw on that screen broke something in me that I don't think goes back together. But I'll get to that. First, let me tell you about the lie. The lie I built my whole life around. I was a site manager for a construction company. 31 years. I ran crews, poured foundations, built strip malls and medical offices and a middle school in Dayton, Ohio. I worked 60-hour weeks, sometimes 70. My hands were calloused by 25 and never softened after. I was proud of those hands. Proud of the truck I drove and the boots I wore through, and the paycheck I brought home every 2 weeks like clockwork. I was a provider, capital P. That was my identity. That was the whole thing. And the lie I told myself every single time I missed something was this: there'll always be another one. Another recital, another birthday, another soccer game, another Saturday morning. I treated my children's childhood like it was a television series I could catch up on later. Like the episodes would just be there waiting for me whenever I got around to it. My wife would call the office at 4 in the afternoon. Tommy's play is at 6. And I'd say the 2 words that should be chiseled into my headstone. I'll try. I never tried. Not once. I'll try was my way of saying no without having to hear the disappointment in real time. I'd stay on the site until 7, 7:30, come home to a dark hallway, kids already in bed, a plate of food wrapped in foil on the counter. I'd eat alone standing up at the kitchen sink and tell myself I was doing it for them. There was a drawing on the refrigerator, taped right at my eye level. Tommy drew it, crayon, green and yellow. It was me, I think. A stick figure with a hard hat. I walked past that drawing every night for I don't know how long. Weeks, maybe months. Never stopped to look at it. Not once. Not once did I pull it off the fridge and say, "Hey, buddy, tell me about this." I was too tired. I smelled like drywall dust and diesel. And I told myself that earning the money to keep the lights on in the house where he drew that picture was enough. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. But I didn't figure that out in time. I figured it out on a Tuesday afternoon in a storage closet, holding a camcorder with a dead battery light blinking red like a warning I'm 26 years late to hear. Let me tell you what I saw on that tape. The screen is small, maybe 3 inches. The color's washed out the way old video gets. Everything slightly blue, slightly blurry. But I can see the auditorium, rows of folding chairs, parents packed in, some holding up their own cameras. The stage has a painted backdrop of a forest, and there are kids lined up in costumes, trees, flowers, a sun made out of cardboard and yellow paint. And there's Tommy, second from the left. He's a tree. He's wearing a brown shirt, and his mother made him a headpiece out of green construction paper that's already tilting sideways on his head. He's 7 years old, and he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I missed it. I missed it because I was pouring concrete for a parking garage in Oakdale. My wife is behind the camera. I can hear her voice, cheerful, steady, narrating the way she always did. There's Tommy. There's our guy. Oh, he looks so handsome. And then the camera pans, just for a second, almost accidentally, to the second row. And there's a seat, an empty seat. And draped over the back of it is my jacket, my brown work jacket. She saved me a seat. She put my jacket on it so nobody would take it. And it sat there, empty, for the entire performance. I watched the whole tape, 34 minutes. That jacket never moved. That seat never filled. But here's the thing that put a crack in my chest that I will carry until I die. Tommy had one line in the whole play. He was a tree, and his line was, "The forest is waking up." And when his turn came, he stepped forward. And right before he said it, his eyes went to that seat, the empty one, my seat. He looked right at it. And then he said his line and stepped back. He was looking for me. He was 7, and he was on a stage in a paper crown. And he was looking for his dad, and his dad was not there. I had to stop the tape after that. I sat on the edge of that bed, and I put my hand over my mouth, and I stayed like that for a long time. The room smelled like dust and old fabric, and something chemical from the mothballs. And I could hear the tape still whirring inside the camcorder. And I thought about every single time my son looked for me and I wasn't there. But here is the part that really ruined me. It wasn't the play. It was what came after, years after. Tommy's 14th birthday. I remember this night because it's the night everything sealed shut. I was supposed to be home at 5. I walked in the door at 8:15. The cake was already cut. The candles were already blown out. The friends had already gone home. My wife was washing dishes and didn't look at me. Tommy was in his room with the door closed. I went upstairs and I knocked. I said, "Hey, bud, sorry I'm late. Happy birthday." And he opened the door just enough to look at me. And he said, "It's fine, Dad." That's it. 2 words. It's fine. But it was the way he said it. There was no anger, no disappointment, no sadness even. It was flat, neutral. The way you'd respond to a stranger telling you the store is closed. "Oh, okay, it's fine." And that was the night I lost my son. Not because he yelled at me or slammed the door or told me he hated me. I lost him because he stopped expecting me. A 7-year-old looks at an empty chair and still hopes. A 14-year-old looks at his father and says, "It's fine," and means it. He had adjusted. He had rewritten the story of who his father was. And in the new version, I was the man who sometimes showed up, not the man you counted on, the man who was occasionally present. And he was fine with that. And fine is the most devastating word a child can say to his father. That camcorder sits on my nightstand now. I've watched the tape 4 times. Each time is worse than the last because I noticed things I missed before. The 3rd time, I heard my wife whisper to the woman next to her, "His daddy's working hard so he can have nice things." She was covering for me, making excuses to strangers while our son looked for me in an empty chair. The 4th time, I noticed Tommy adjusting his paper headpiece right before his line, the way a kid does when he wants to look good for someone. For me. For a man standing in wet concrete 30 miles away. Tommy lives 2 states away now. He's a good man, good father. Got 2 kids of his own, and you know what he does? He shows up. Every game, every recital, every school pickup, he is there. And that's the knife in my ribs, because I know exactly where he learned that. He didn't learn it from me. He learned it by memorizing everything I didn't do and doing the opposite. I am his blueprint for what a father should not be, and he built his whole parenting life around correcting my mistakes. We talk on holidays, Christmas, his birthday, mine. The calls are polite, they're brief. They're the kind of calls you make to someone you're related to, not someone you're close to. My son didn't cut me off. That would almost be easier. Cutting someone off is an act of emotion. What Tommy did was quieter. He just never let me all the way in. There's a wall there, and it's not made of anger. It's made of, "It's fine, Dad." It's made of every empty chair and every 8:15 arrival and every "I'll try" that meant I won't. The camcorder battery died on the 4th viewing. The little red light blinked twice and the screen went black, and I sat there in the silence listening to the tape stop whirring. And the quiet in that room was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Now I'm talking to you. And I need you to drop whatever you're telling yourself right now and listen. You think there's always next time. There isn't. There is a last time your kid will look at the door expecting you to walk through it. A last time they'll save you a seat. A last time they'll be excited to tell you about their day. And you will not know it's the last time. You won't get a notification. You won't feel a shift. It'll just happen. And then it'll be 26 years later, and you'll be watching it on a screen the size of a playing card in a room that smells like mothballs. Your kid has something this week. I guarantee it. A game, a practice, a show, a school thing. A dinner where they want to talk about something stupid that happened at lunch. Go. Not next time. This time. Because next time is the lie that men like me tell themselves all the way to a storage closet full of regret. Children don't slam the door when they give up on you. That's not how it works. They just stop opening it. Quietly. Slowly. Without a single fight. One day you knock and they say, "It's fine, Dad," and they mean it. And that's the last sound your relationship ever makes. I'm going to close this camcorder now. I'm going to fold that little screen down, and I'm going to hold it for a second, because it's the closest thing I have to a time machine, and it only goes in one direction, and that direction is a knife. But then I'm going to pick up my phone, and I'm going to call my son, and I know exactly what I'm going to say. "I watched your play, Tommy. You were a hell of a tree. And maybe he'll be quiet for a second. And maybe he won't know what to say. But maybe, if I'm lucky, if I haven't used up every last chance a man gets, maybe he'll laugh. And that laugh will be the first real thing between us in 26 years. I don't deserve it, but I'm going to try. And this time, I mean it.